tray, pointed at Aisling's leg, and observed, "Your skirt is caught." Aisling looked down, groaned, and yanked on the bottom edge of the skirt to put it back where it belonged. The garment was clingy and kept riding up on her, a problem she likely wouldn't have had except for the other, more functional outfit she wore underneath. The costumes for the evening were a touch more daring than she might have preferred for anything other than a date. Based on an elegant little black dress, the skirt rose higher, and the top was cut lower than she would have chosen for a work uniform. That was all irritating for someone who preferred T-shirts and jeans, but the worst part was the heels. They were impractically high, and required her to maintain constant concentration to avoid falling. She replied, "Thanks." The other woman smiled. "Don't mention it. We've got to look out for each other while we swim in this pool of sharks, right?" The corporation's parties were the stuff of rumour and legend, although she didn't think this one was likely to get too high on the outrageousness scale. Aisling nodded. "You know it." She lifted her tray to be sure no one would bump it, and headed for the door. The other woman offered in farewell, "Watch out for the CFO. He's the one with the bow tie. He's a little handsy, if you know what I mean." Aisling had watched some of the partygoers touching the other servers. No one had tried it with her, fortunately for them. "Thanks for the warning." Mia suggested, "Maybe you should break his hands for him." As she hit the hallway, Aisling replied, "Nothing I'd like better, but unfortunately I'm here for someone else." "Damn your professionalism." A small, quickly smothered laugh escaped her. "I know, right? Takes all the fun out of everything." She passed the Secret Service guards again and slid into the throng. Her contact lens fed her information on each person she allowed her gaze to linger on, and she was careful not to get caught staring. Her gaze wandered in a closer examination of her surroundings. The walls were glass on two sides, with the other two walls of the rectangular room a lovely golden panelling that glowed in the wash of the setting sun. The windows offered a beautiful view of the city and its surroundings. She couldn't see him, but her mechanical dragon partner Shimmer circled the building somewhere out there, rendered invisible by his camouflage scales. His role tonight was to watch for trouble from outside and alert her using the comm system Brodie McGregor had installed during the last upgrade. Aisling could have looked through Shimmer's eyes through her lens or by using her magic, but both would be a distraction, and the latter might get her noticed. He hadn't warned her of anything so far, which was a good sign. Less positive was the fact that she hadn't identified her quarry yet. He might be a magical and in disguise, but she doubted it. The lack of anti-magic emitter coverage in the room was a surprise, given the Vice President's presence, but she was sure the Secret Service had magic detectors. She guessed they'd chosen to allow magic because someone on the VP's team was a magical and was keeping him shielded. It was how she would have handled it if she'd been in charge. Finally, when her tray was half empty, she spotted the face she'd seen in the records SIS had provided. She turned toward the wall and muttered, "I've got him," then shifted in his direction while looking away enough that she wouldn't spook him. Mia replied, "I agree. That's our guy. Do your thing." Aisling circulated toward him, offering appetizers and evading the guests in motion. One hand surreptitiously reached up under the strap of her dress at her shoulder. She palmed the small tracer hidden there and placed it on his back as she went by. Olivares twisted at the contact. Aisling smiled an apology. "Sorry, crowded. Shrimp?" He shook his head and looked away. Mia announced, "Tracking?" Once away from overhearing ears, Aisling replied, "Now we wait. And get another tray of appetizers." After another 10 minutes of circling the room and keeping him in her peripheral vision, she realized she wasn't the only person interested in him. She looked at the man who'd been watching Olivares. He was what intelligence agencies called an empty suit, someone with no memorable features. "Wraith? Got any idea about that guy?" Mia replied, "Nothing." The answer was unexpected.